prediction on who comes out on top here for this next series?
No.
Okay, that's fine too.
I will.
That's
I'm gonna make the
good.
prediction.
Rude.
Do it, you know.
No, I will. It's just a joke.
I'm laughing.
Gonna I'm gonna go with Tegridy Damp. I feel like it's gonna be Tegridy Damp is what I think. Honestly, I've been really impressed with Baka on that Elemental Shaman. And I feel like Elemental Shaman today, and honestly, just so far in Shadowlands, they've been looking really strong so far. And a good Elemental Shaman basically can just one-shot someone at any point in the match when they do have their cooldowns available. And this is going to be a really interesting matchup. Kind of a classic Shadow Priest Mage going up against Warlock Shaman. And I feel like the thing Blastwave Bros has going for them is their setup potential is going to be a lot better. If they get triple crowd control, they can just blow someone up really, really quickly. Whereas Tegridy Damp is going to be looking to disrupt that. So we have the setup composition versus the composition that wants to disrupt that just to live as long as possible and win in the longer run. But Fnaber's getting swapped to. Big damage on him early on, but looks like he should be able to survive. Getting behind the pillar, flash of light spam, and now it's going to be Frosty on the back foot.
I mean, look at this damage!
Massive pressure. That was a big overlap, and honestly, I can't really fault them for that one. Ratapai just reacting there with the sacrifice. Frosty just doing the same there, and Ratapai showing no trust there in his Shadow Priest. But Frosty has been playing it phenomenally so far, and yeah. Tegridy Damp, they're going to be absolutely happy with that exchange. They're just going to go back here and just get their damage back on track here. Warwick's is going to be able to get his dots rolling. Baka's going to be looking to get that Stormkeeper, maybe with that Sky Fury combo, and just do that once again. And honestly, since we did some predictions here and both of these teams are kind of in a stalemate right now, I'm going to go against you on this one, Ben. And I'm going to say I think the Blastwave Bros got this one.
I disagree. All right. I think Tegridy Damp. I feel like Affliction Lock. If there's a matchup where Affliction Lock is good, it's this matchup.
Yeah.
Assuming they don't make any mistakes. I mean, there's chances that maybe Fnaber's slips up his positioning at some point and they get a good swap to him. But aside from that, it's going to be so difficult for them to get through all the defense that's available, and deeper in dampening that Warlock's damage is going to overwhelm them. They grip Ratapai in. He's out in the open, though. They might swap. Now Walrus is retreating back to the pillar. Frosty and Ratapai get feared away. Fade preemptively here on the Stormkeeper. Baka's still loaded up. We saw Zeepai delete someone. This could be it. Frosty gets blasted. He gets interrupted right at the last second. Frosty clutching out some Shadow Mends and surviving the attack of Baka for now. Frosty going after Fnaber's. Mind games channeled. Big hit on Fnaber's. Down to half. Line of sighting in the silence as we see Livin blink in with Combustion. Try and power down the Paladin, but not enough. He's fully hexed up. Baka totally shuts down that Combustion. Now Fnaber's getting a bit cheeky with some judgments, laying down some big damage onto Frosty. Curious to see when they want to go for that Hammer of Justice onto Ratapai. Again, the main goal for Tegridy Damp is to just deflect all these Combustions, fish for kills with Stormkeeper, stay alive until deep dampening, and then just overwhelm the whole team. Nice Nether Ward by Walrix at low health, reflecting the cast. They're going to use the Gateway to go across midfield while Fnaber's is crowd control, but he left Fnaber's behind. They could swap to him. Frosty, Door of Shadows in, dotting up Fnaber's. They're waiting for the Ring of Frost into a Polymorph. Are they going to make a swap to Fnaber's or go after Baka? Baka gets stunned up, but it looked like they wanted to Meteor Fnaber's. Maybe a miscommunication?
Yeah, I mean, it had to be at that point. Meteor gets dropped out onto the Paladin. Hammer of Justice goes out onto the Shaman. Just kind of all over the place. And I mean, this matchup is actually really annoying for Blastwave Bros. Ratapai needs to hold on. He's getting close to getting taken down. Lightning Lasso out of the Hammer of Justice. He is playing this really greedy. Frosty landing some heals, but this is one of the big problems and one of the huge hurdles that Blastwave Bros has to come to overcome is they don't have a snare. And Tegridy Damp, everyone is just getting snared on the side of Blastwave Bros. Walrix with that Affliction Warlock, the Corruption Snare, legendary. You can see, I feel like what we want to see from Tegridy Damp is just run, use the pillars, cross the map, and Ratapai, Frosty, as well as Liviner is going to be snared and actually have a really difficult time getting out any sort of consistent damage. They can only win in these one-shots, which they might be able to find here. Fnaber's getting low. Silence, I believe that was the Hellstone as well. It was the File, so Fnaber's does manage to hold on off the back of that Kyrian File. Ratapai now getting swapped to the sacrifice damage is immense. Tegridy Damp, in terms of consistent pressure, they are way higher in this match. They just have to really respect the one-shots that Blastwave Bros has available.
Yeah, both teams so far trading very effectively. Baka has no trinket. Fnobers does have his trinket though, so should have plenty of ways to survive the one-shots here. And now Livin once again caught up in that Hex. Does break though to that Earthquake. Warwick's just on max range, spamming UAs, spamming the Malefic Grasp, keeping up the snares with the Corruption, just playing from absolute max range here. And this is kind of what we expected in this matchup. You know, both teams just leading with a big Wizard comp. Frofsy here being pressured very, very heavily here. Got to use his Greater Fade there and kind of retreat. And this Corruption slow is so oppressive. And Warwick's also spamming out the Curse of Tongues here, making sure that nobody can move and cast on that Warlock. And Baka just having free reign on that Ally Shaman. Both teams just kind of happy to retreat to their positions. And honestly, I think the side of Blast Breed Bros, they got to try to push in here, try to force out Fnober's trinket with a big CC chain, because once Baka gets his trinket up, the game is basically reset, but it's reset in dampening. And we all know Warwick's, he loves dampening. His team name is literally Tegridy Damp. And that's what they're going to do now. They're literally going to push in here. Ratapai getting hexed. Frofsy Lightning Lasso. Fnober's looking for the follow-up here. Gets a Hammer of Justice. Hammers down here on Ratapai on that Divine Fave. And now we're going to see Livin going for the setup here. Baka in a Fear. And Ratapai, actually Fnober, sorry, in a Sheep. But again, counterspell on Frofsy. Warwick shuts it down. And now looking to counter pressure once again with Baka here. Big damage coming in on that Ally Shaman stun there from the Primal Earth Elemental, and Frofsy is not going to be able to do too much about that. Once again, both of these teams just being very, very evenly matched, but I've got to say, Tegridy Damp are slowly but surely pulling ahead here.
And these momentum swings will become much and much more difficult as dampening continues to stack. Mana is still even between the teams here, but defense so far has been solid for Tegridy Damp. It's up to Blast Wave Bros to kind of close the distance and net a kill. Perhaps the Elemental Shaman is the target. Triple crowd control here, landed by Blast Wave Bros, really laying into Baka, but not even finding an Astral Shift for a combustion. That is absolutely devastating for Blast Wave Bros. They mind control Baka in enemy territory, but Livin gets stunned up out in midfield with Unstable Affliction on him. He can't dispel this stun. It's too risky of a gamble. Frofsy's getting owned by Baka right now, absolutely bodied in the back line as we see a Lightning Lasso swap to the healer. Baka having a field day in a 1v2 over here, and Ratapai struggles to just recover. His whole team is absolutely being destroyed at this point in time. Bombing in a big flashlight, gripping Livin back to the pillar. Baka recovering with healing surges out in midfield. The whole team at half health. Look at Ratapai's slow Holy Lights trying to pull his team back up into the fight here behind the pillar, managing to recover, and some decent damage on Baka here. It needs to be a bit careful. Stunned up, silence on Fnobbers. Ratapai charging in for his team to get crowd control, stunning Fnobbers. They need to get Astral Shift here, but no, they're not able to find it. And actually, Baka uses Lightning Lasso on Ratapai. Stormkeeper is up. Baka's getting ready. As we see that Primordial Wave on Livin, it could be a huge crack of damage here any moment. Ratapai the target, huge pressure. It's Protection Paladin, Legendary Frox. Reign of Ancient Kings saves him, and he doesn't need to Divine Shield as a result. That Legendary Pain, its weight in gold.
Unbelievable. Ratapai barely holding on, but this is what I'm talking about. I mean, Ratapai, once he uses his Divine Steed, you know, he's able to get some ground and get the Hammer of Justice out that they need to get up their setups. But immediately after, you saw Livin, Frosty, Ratapai just so snared. Look at them just waddling across the map right now. Walsh just loading them up with corruption dots. The freedom's going to be big, but if Baka can purge it or get the Lightning Lasso on it, now they need to reposition. Beautiful Fear coming in from Walrick. Double Howl of Terror. Frosty rotting down low. 21% damp. This is okay. What just happened? All right. Well...
No prediction.
I guess that can happen. Yeah. I didn't even see that. You got okay. Well, we got the replay, so that's good. Blastwave Bros, they went in, and I mean that closed out really fast. I feel like Baka got absolutely deleted there, and that's what can happen. I mean, they had so many defensive cooldowns available. I have to believe. I mean, we're gonna have to see how that one happened.
Okay, so here. We're just kind of watching both teams just kicking back, and we're talking about how difficult it is for Blastwave Bros to cover the ground here. And Frofsy now is going to be looking to make that push. There is he gets Dispelled, activates the Fade, and I think it's Livin here doing most of the work here on that Fire Mage with that Combustion. Frofsy pushing in here, looking for the chain. Back up. Okay, here we go. Livin, Night Phase in, secures the poly. and there's a Dragon's Breath, and this is a Power Infusion 1-tap with the Did he just die in a Dragon's Breath, like straight up?
That was.
I think that's why he didn't.
Insane.
I think that's why he didn't activate the the Astral Shift. I'm pretty sure it was just a Dragon's Breath 1D.
Was it Mind Games?
Yeah, Mind Games on Nature's Guardian. So I feel like he needs to maybe talent out of that. That's basically the only thing they can exploit is that when a shaman dips below 35% health, you heal yourself for 20%. But if Mind Games dips you below that threshold, the 20% heal that would normally heal you kills you instead, and then you just die suddenly out of nowhere. So they either didn't anticipate that, they needed to Trinket Sacrifice before it had been closed together, or talent out of it, as it's, I think, more likely to backfire than it is to be a benefit, specifically against Mind Games.
Also, I don't know if you guys... No, go ahead, Vin.
I was going to say that it's just, at that moment of the game, I really did not expect it to end. They had pretty much every single defensive cooldown except Bacchus Trinket. They had Sacrifice, Bubble, Trinket, Astral Shift, everything. So that huge unexpected moment of burst closed out the game. But I feel like if we see this matchup play out, I'm still thinking Tegridy Damp is going to end up winning if everything trades the way it's supposed to.
Okay. I was just going to say, I don't know if you guys mentioned this, but neither Frosty or Livin are running that Gladiator's medallion. So big damage from both of those guys, but Blast Wave Bros taking that game number 1. And yeah, I don't blame you for ignoring my pun then. I said they got blasted, but I think that was...
Oh.
It wasn't...
Well, they
that
did.
My best word. Yeah, they did. Yeah. I could probably do better than that, though, with that name. But they're going to take that game number 1 victory. But what do you think about that, Super Tease? Do you think that Tegridy Damp is still going to win this series despite their game 1?
I think so. I mean, that's literally the only mechanic that Blast Wave Bros could really kind of cheese with, is that interaction with Nature's Guardian. And I've seen that happen on the ladder before too. So they needed to be ready for it. Whenever Mind Games is being casted on your shaman, that's the scariest moment in the game. Combustion was up too. They had time to just Trinket Sack. Did we just teleport?
What? Are we in the Maelstrom right now? I think it's...
We're
Are we falling into the maw? And Ruki's gonna go first.
Fancy new transitions here. Production showing off a little bit.
Start spinning in your chair.
What was that Rubik's Cube thing they did, though? Do you guys see that?
Yeah, that was interesting. The transition.
Yeah.
Can we do that again?
Yeah,
Where are we going next?
We gotta go. Put us back. Put us back.
They didn't want to.
Okay.
We're stuck here for a little while.
They're being stubborn. They're like, we're gonna only flex once. That's all you get. All right. Well, Blast Wave Bros and Tegridy Damp both locking in their compositions here. We're gonna be going to Tiger's Peak. Did you finish your thoughts, Supertees, before we got distracted?
I don't even remember what my thought was.
I don't think so either. Man,
Mind Games is really scary. If it's being casted, get ready to trade a cooldown because you'll die really fast. That's the logic.
Yeah.
Checks out.
That was actually the logic behind my prediction as well. Mind Games just counters hybrids, so that was literally the only thing going through my mind. I didn't consider any other variable in the matchup. I was like, yep, they got Mind Games. That was him as a hybrid. Yeah.
Really?
Right.
Yeah, that's right.
I could see that.
That's
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Do you disagree or something, Ben?
Well, I just feel like that game was looking pretty good for Tegridy Damp. I guess the thing is, the way this matchup kind of plays out is it's looking really good for Tegridy Damp until it's not. Basically, like
That's fair.
the way they trade back and forth is it's like Tegridy Damp is looking like they're just owning the whole match, just crowd controlling everybody, stopping everything until they don't stop something and then they lose. So it's just one of those games. But I feel like if they're definitely going to respect the Mind Games a little bit more, I would say. And that is interesting to even consider trading. Like, what could you get instead of Nature's Guardian if you opted out of it? Do they get like another defensive option?
You get Spirit Walker's Grace, movement cast, lower cooldown. It's not really that big of an edge. You're just basically talenting out of it rather than getting any benefit of talenting into something else. Okay. You don't need to do it. I mean, Nature's Guardian's really good on every setup that they don't have Mind Games. So, but sometimes it's just not worth the risk because that's really your only win condition, I think, as a Shadow Priest Mage, is just getting a Mind Games double tap on Nature's Guardian and they don't have time to react.
All right. Well, it's game number 2 here. Blastwave Bros looking to put themselves on match point, or is Tegridy Damp gonna tie this up 1-1?
All right, here we go. And once again, this is just one of those matchups. Tegridy Damp, their objective is to just stop combustion. Stop combustion as often as you can, and then just get out as much damage as possible. Blastwave Bros, they need to find the crowd control. They need to find the setups. They need to get cross crowd control in order to actually make those combustions effective, so they can find themselves in a situation like we saw on the Grand, where they're able to just absolutely delete Baka. And it seemed like Tegridy Damp, they just weren't even able to respond to it in the moment. So 30 seconds into the game, let's see who they decide to go after. Looks like Fnaubers is going to be the target of choice for now. Ratapai just throwing in a Hammer of Justice, but he's looking to be A-OK. Stormkeeper coming in. Baka now. He has a bunch of damage lined up. Who's he going to go after? Looks like he's going to get Polymorph. Livin just diffusing this initial push from the side of Tegridy Damp. Now Frosty might get one-shotted. Forced to use the Fade to avoid all that Elemental Shaman damage. I think that's more than enough of a trade.
Yeah, and right now both teams just trying to find some pressure here, some momentum. Right now, Fnaubers is going to be escaping out of that CC chain, Living, trying to take him down with the leftovers from that combustion, but not going to be able to make a dent here. Fnaubers just immediately retreating to the opposite side of the pillar or the map, and he's just going to be chilling over there, waiting for Warwigs, waiting for Baka to get some pressure. And you can see Frofsy, Ratapai, and Livin, they are completely happy with this. They're just going to sit back. Livin just going to look for something to press Fireball on so we can reset that combustion so that they can go again and do it better, since they didn't really net themselves anything there. And I do believe Frofsy also used his human racial on that lightning lasso, so doesn't really hurt them at all to wait up a little bit here, but they kind of don't have that much time as well. They are on a timer, the longer this game goes, the worse it is for them, so they have to pick their moments. They force out the Dispel. There's the Hammer of Justice. There's the Silence. Mind Games coming through. Warwick's going to use his Trinket and that Demonic Gateway, and that is an excellent strategy as well. We saw a lot of these Wizard comps utilize that, especially Skillcat EU, just sheeping up somebody, and then when that sheep gets dispelled, they just charge somebody and just pop all their cooldowns on that target, and they could net themselves a win with that, just with the Shadow Priest Silence. So definitely a lot of ways here to win the matchup. If you are on the side of Blastwave Bros, you can do a setup on the healer, you can do a long CC chain on the healer, or you can just go for raw damage like that. And now once again, Warwick's isolated here. If they Hammer of Justice him over here, could be very dangerous. He realizes that though. Excellent gateway, and Fnaubers going to reposition on the opposite side of the map so that he could dispel a potential Hammer of Justice there. Very, very nice position here from Tegridy Damp. But again, Blastwave Bros, they're going to have their combustion now, and they could be setting something up with that very, very shortly.
We see Sky Fury down. Baka just loading out Lava Burst, hitting Livin pretty hard here, knocking him to Walrix. Nice pass in line of sight. Lightning Lasso, gripped away. Nice defense. Both teams, it's pretty tough to net a kill before dampening. So I think Combustion's probably the highest likelihood, or Baka's Stormkeeper. So if those threats aren't up, both teams are a bit reluctant to push. Now Ratapai's charging in. They have Combustion available on their side. They want to try and net a kill with this before dampening overwhelms them with that Affliction Warlock. Walrix moves in for a double Howl of Terror. Looks like it does break to dots, though, unfortunately. Ratapai's charging at Fnaubers. He gets stunned first, though. Walrix needs to run. Nether Warding, running out of line of sight. Drain life to heal himself back up. Frofsy and Livin getting decimated despite them popping Combustion. They're falling a bit behind. They're swapping over to Fnaubers. Big Meteor hits onto Fnaubers. Saved by the Light, gonna proc. Holy Shock. Silenced. Battlemaster trades. Baka rotted down as well during that combustion. Avenging Wrath. Fnaubers is back to full and in the fight. They deflect that. Now Stormkeeper is up. Dark Soul's available. The ball is in Tegridy Damp's court here as they are launching a huge wave of damage. Ratapai recovers through it though. Vampiric Embrace from Frofsy, well timed, but Dark Soul is still rolling. There's no Avenging Wrath. Ratapai is going to struggle to heal through the dots without that Avenging Wrath, and Baka's laying in with Lava Burst. Ratapai slowly but surely recovering through the attack as both teams continue to make fair trades 4 minutes in.
Yep, just back and forth, 30 seconds away from dampening at this point. If we look at defensive cooldowns, both these Paladins doing great so far. Livin's looking healthy. Basically everyone on the map is looking good. It's just about, it seems like in this game, we've seen a little bit of an adaptation here from Blastwave Bros. I guess they've kind of realized, hey, we'll probably only win with Combustion. So they're not opting to push in and go for crowd control outside of those combustion windows. And they're just kind of sitting back, biding their time, spamming out fireballs, and that way they kind of avoid the rot pressure. So it's kind of back to that hit and run strategy. They go in with their cooldowns, try to one-shot someone. If it doesn't work, okay, bye. Behind the pillar, you can't rot us down. Radopi is going to be able to maintain his mana. They're going to be able to maintain defensive cooldowns at the same time. And now dampening has just kicked in, and dampening really is a double-edged sword. I mean, on the one hand, Tegridy damp. They, of course, are going to have a lot of rot pressure with that Affliction Warlock as the game goes on, but at the same time, single target healing from Fnaubur is going to be a lot more difficult to deal with, and Blastwave Bros, if they get the setup properly, they can just delete someone in just a matter of moments, like we saw in game number 1.
Very interesting thing here. Radopi is playing hallowed ground, which means that his consecration is going to make sure that nobody in its radius gets snared. We're going to see him try to utilize that to keep his teammates a little bit mobile. And of course, he wants that ultimate sacrifice. Can't afford to go with Blessed Hands and that ultimate sacrifice. So he is going to opt in for that consecration. Instead, the Prophecy taking big damage here by Baka. Lightning Lasso coming out, but Radopi free healing right now should be able to recover. Fnaubus as well, taking a big chunk of damage. In that exchange, going to activate his wings right there to try to stabilize his team. Now Baka taking a little bit of damage. Warwick's now looking to set up some damage here as well. Warwick's now has basically everything that he needs to survive, and now it's Baka actually in trouble. Fnauber's in a sheep, big damage coming out, and Fnauber's this time, he's not going to greet it, going to use that Trinket Sacrifice. Nice hit there from the Blastwave Bros. And look at Livin. He's going to have that combustion in about 50 seconds. Nice mind control here by Prophecy. They could extend the chain here. Baka going to be able to escape back to his teammates. Lightning Lasso onto Livin just to kind of slow down the pace here from the Blastwave Bros. But this game is looking a lot better for the Blastwave Bros than the previous one. If they can keep getting these setups here onto Baka, that could definitely be a win condition for them.
Although Dark Soul is available, Stormkeeper is available, so Baka and Walrick are a real threat at this moment in time, which is why we see Blastwave Bros just not positioned in a place to fight whatsoever. They're just waiting for combustion. Outside of that window, there's not really any benefit for them to attack. They're not going to out-damage the Warlock, so it is more beneficial for them to just stay at the pillar and wait for their cooldowns. Now that they're up, we could see them get aggressive here as both Paladins reset their mana bars. Just about 10% into dampening, 15% into dampening. Stormkeeper, but Baka gets interrupted on it. This could be dangerous if they get a Mind Games. Prophecy gets stunned up. They trade Astral Shift, but they proc the Necro Lord's shield there from Merilith. That's not going to be available for the push in the future, although they did go for combustion, so that's more than a fair trade here. Fnauber's dispelling off dots. Walrick's loading up a Soul Rot, trying to get a Drain Soul. Baka taking some hits from that Shadow Fiend, though. That's a big cooldown from the Shadow Priest. Doesn't have Astral Shift, no sacrifice for 30. Livin getting counter-pressured. Lava Burst in the sky. Big connect on Livin. Radopi recovers, though, with Avenging Wrath. Good trades from both sides here. Baka struggling, stunned up behind the pillar. Fnauber's trying to help him out, dispelling that stun. Livin lands a ring on Walrick. He's out of the fight. Fnauber should be able to heal, though. He's out of crowd control with Avenging Wrath. Lightning Lasso on Livin, stopping any polymorphs. Stun on Radopi. Good crowd control by Tegridy Damp. Lava Burst lobbed in. Livin gets purged, blinking back behind the pillar with that Soul Shape to his team. And Radopi likely to drop a Consecration soon to remove all of those slows from his team. It's an interesting Honor Talent adaptation. Typically that Warlock Corruption slow is really difficult to deal with, but with this Consecration removing the slow, it allows them to turtle more effectively.
Yeah, but I mean, so far their turtling's looking good. I mean, look at Radopi's mana, 22% damp, 100% mana in this match. Still every single defensive cooldown, and now they're going for it. They're making a push.
Whoa.
Livin goes in, it gets interrupted on the polymorph. That was double Shimmer as well. Livin getting deleted! Cauterize and Ice Walk forced out, and this is what I'm talking about. Baka on that Elemental Shaman, he can just make things happen. Livin literally on fire right now. That will fade, but without the defense of Ice Block and Cauterize, all of a sudden, Blastwave Bros are not going to be feeling nearly as confident to push in, and things are kind of spiraling out of control. Here's the thing. I mean, if you're just sitting back and waiting, and your only moment is that one push in, you know, every time combustion is available, Tegridy Damp is going to have everything. They're going to have their Howl of Terror, they're going to have their Portal, they're going to have Grounding Totem, Wind Shear, Spell Lock, in order to try to deflect that situation, and so far they have been able to deflect it. Rossi getting a little bit low in the meantime. Livin has to be very careful, though. In the middle of the map right now, gets polymorphed with the spell lock on Frosty. He might get taken down. Let's see what Baka is able to get done, but this positioning right now from Tegridy Damp, super effective. It has been really difficult for Blastwave Bros to actually push in.
Yeah, and speaking of pushing in, Prophecy right now, looking for the door of the shadows. Big damage coming out of the Snowburst. He's forced to use that bubble immediately right there. Master Spell comes through, and they get the silence as well. They're just continuing the chain. Robert's activating that Avenging Wrath here as well now. Going to be making sure that he's nice and healthy. Frofsy now taking that return damage, and Livin has no ice block here. Remember, no Color Ice. At any point, he could get absolutely erased by Baka, and he's looking to do it right now here. The dampening is at 30-something percent, 32% right now. Very, very hard to heal here for Rattlepie. He's going to have to activate his wings. There's the ultimate sacrifice. Now Rattlepie getting swapped to as well. Hammer of Justice. Fnubbers somehow sniping that through the wall there with a jump with that big Taran, and now Rattlepie also getting knocked up and slowed there behind the pillar. He gets grip, but he might just go down behind the pillar without using his bubble right there. Very unfortunate, that sack damage being transferred over there with those dots, with that knock, and Fnubbers as well. What a beautiful Hammer of Justice there to secure the win.
All right, Tegridy Dam tying up the game. The series 1-1 here, looking really strong in that last game against Blastwave Bros. And what does that say for the rest of this series, Ben?
Well, I think it says this is a really explosive matchup. And if you blink, I mean, you could end up missing someone going down. We can take, a look at the final moments of this game. Rattlepie obviously has a Divine Shield, but things aren't looking super good for Blastwave Bros at this point in the game. Livin's getting taken down, the triple drain life coming in, Rattlepie behind the pillar just trying to keep himself alive. But let's see what actually ends up finishing him off here. Getting a little bit low. Baka gets dispelled out. Hammer of Justice on Rattlepie, and just all the sacrifice damage. Still, he gets knocked out into the open, and still looking okay, but Baka potentially able to get off a big lava burst or something. Gets gripped away, and that's... I'm kind of surprised. I guess it was just a lot of sacrifice damage coming in. Does Battle Masters fall there?
That meteor as well from the Elemental does a decent amount of damage there from Baka. And yeah, sacrifice, just the dots there at the end as well.
That's one of those situations though where you're Rattlepie where it's like you almost don't blame him at all for trying to greet it. I mean, he got life gripped away. His Shadow Priest was trying to throw in some off heals. Everyone was out of his line of sight, but the Affliction Warlock Rot with the Elemental Shaman Burst was able to take him down. And I feel like the one thing I liked for Tegridy Damp is they managed to just play it really, really calm, cool, collected. When Livin and Frosty did push in, they made sure they were able to disrupt that go, get the counter pressure off, and force them to play a little bit more defensive in the match. And I still feel like this one's looking good for Tegridy Damp. Despite Blastwave Bros having that opportunity to just one-shot, I feel like Tegridy Damp just plays perfect. It's looking good for them.
Yeah, you're definitely right. There were a lot of moments there where Blastwave could have taken that game, but Tegridy Damp holding their composure together. They are going to be locking in Ellie Warlock once again. Fnobber sticking to that Holy Paladin. It looks like Blastwave Bros have chosen to go Dalaran Sewers. Do you feel like, Supatis, that this is indicative that they may be switching up their composition here?
I don't think so. I mean, all of their options aren't great. I think their best options for killing a shaman is the Shadow Priest variant. I mean, they could try Ellie Mage, but losing Mind Games is a really big loss, I think, for this. It's basically they have to win with Mind Games. Mind Games Combustion, whether or not it's on Fnobbers or Baka, to try and remove some healing, clutch out a big burst kill. And aside from that, I don't think they can do enough damage to really kill anything. So Blastwave Bros have to keep playing the same matchup. Tegridy Damp, what I like what they're doing is they're kind of lining up everything together. When Fnobbers had to use Avenging Wrath, Walrix also Dark Souled, and then Baka also Stormkeepered, and then having all three of those at the same time is enough damage that they can overwhelm the Triune Ward and they can overwhelm the Shadow Priest support. That's when they netted a kill. So if Tegridy Damp can coordinate their cooldowns together to try and amass this huge wave of damage, that's going to be a win condition for them.
Yeah, all right. Well, we're seeing Blastwave Bros locking in that same composition here. Zico, do you agree with Fenn's point? Do you feel like this one's going to go to Tegridy Damp?
I'm not sure. I feel like the big maps are always going to go to Tegridy Damp and like the medium-sized ones, but the smaller maps are kind of a toss-up for me. I feel like Blastwave Bros can definitely get a one-shot. They can get a big mind games. There was a close call on Fnubbers where, on a smaller map, they could have just emptied his bubble like they did and actually still had uptime on the target. Something like that could easily lead to a kill. I feel like it was somewhat one-sided for Tegridy Damp last game, but it wasn't one-sided enough to convince me that they're going to win on the smaller maps. So I think what could end up happening is that Tegridy Damp loses the small maps and then wins on the big maps, and we could go all the way to a game 5, and then a game 5 could just decide everything.
All right, well, we're going to see here game number 3 on Dollar Answers. It's Blast Wave Bros versus Tegridy Damp, tied up 1-1.
Let's see if Tegridy Damp can deal with the attack here. Blast Wave Bros, I think, have the advantage right at the start when all of their strong, hard-hitting cooldowns are available. So Tegridy Damp need to play defense to begin with here. Let's see how they decide to start it. Livin not going to go for Invis. Instead, he's all by himself, trying to get out of line of sight of Fnaubers back to his team, but then they walk into a double Howl of Terror. Really bad positioning from Blast Wave Bros initially here, but that Aflock comp not going to really be able to punish it too much. So charging at Fnaubers, they're going all in on the healer here, but Radopi gets intercepted. Will Fnaubers survive the attack? Popping off that Battlemaster, stunned again. Baka backing him up with that Grounding Totem and Healing Surges, though, allows him to easily walk off that attack. Tegridy Damp are not going to be overwhelmed so easily.
No, certainly not. Prepared for that situation. And Fnaubers playing Kyrian, of course, does have that File of Serenity whenever he is in trouble. If he gets caught into a silence, he can use that. It'll help keep him alive. Baka right now down to around 50% health. Looking like he's going to be okay, though. Just at the pillar. This positioning is looking good. Now everyone is rotting down on the side of Blast Wave Bros. Radopi has to respond with his Avenging Wrath. Really good spread pressure coming in. And Walrix, when he pulls the trigger on those offensive cooldowns, people really do stop rotting down. And if Radopi ever doesn't have his Avenging Wrath for those moments, things are going to become really scary. But Baka, unfortunately, having to use his Gladiator's Medallion there, was caught in a bit of a setup. And I guess Fnaubers wasn't too confident to actually keep him alive. So Baka's going to opt to play it a little bit safer than in the match. Prophecy right now pushing in. He gets caught on his Hammer of Justice on his door, Shadows, and immediately Fnaubers is running away, but a full Polymorph lands. Could be a potential big setup here onto Baka. He gets caught into a silence. Do they have the damage to actually take him down? Mind Games lands, but Baka just going to be retreating to the pillar. I really like this push here from Blast Wave Bros.
Yeah, and this is kind of the map doing a lot of work here. They have a lot more pressure, a lot more fluidity here in the matchup, just basically being able to constantly find setups, find CC, and now I go onto Fnaubers. Let's see if they have the damage and the lockdown to execute on it. Prophecy, though, getting blasted, and once again, the sacrifice and the dispersion gets overlapped. Prophecy cancels out immediately there, which means that Radopi is going to take even more damage in that setup here. Small overlap, but still very early on in the match. It shouldn't matter too much for them, only if they decide to really push in here. Let's see what they do. Livin right now has his combustion ready, so he definitely wants to go in. He might just blink in and go for a double Dragon's Breath. He's looking for a little bit of CC here, potentially on one of the DPS before he decides to pull the trigger. But again, Fnaubers, Baka, and Warwick, they're just going to be pushing back immediately as soon as the enemy team gets on top of them. Livin now getting hexed here, and you know, as Aya pointed out earlier, nobody on Blast Wave Bros is actually playing a trinket here. They're all just playing damage trinkets. Radopi getting knocked away. And now, once again, Tegridy Damp just going to be running circles here around the sewers.
Well, let's see if they can keep running laps here. If anyone in chat can actually keep count of how many laps they run, it's going to be quite impressive. It's going to be a lot here, as this is going to be a long game. So you might want to like write it down. You might want to write it down somewhere so you remember. They're posted up at the boxes at the moment. Baka's laying in here with that Stormkeeper. Big Lightning Lasso. Radopi lines a big flash of light at the same time, though. And Prophecy's going to walk it off. Walrix gets a Soul Rod off with that Dark Lair, but Fnaubers getting swapped to. Is he going to get dropped to? Dragon's Breath very low on health. Saved by the Light going to proc here. Battlemaster on the silence, but Mind Games connects. That Prop Paladin Legendary coming in clutch, saving Fnaubers there during that assault as he recovers with the Divine Favor. Prophecy getting tossed to the side here. Radopi locked down in a stun. Dark Soul is rolling. Walrix line of sighting the Purges out in the distance to try and get his dots doing a ton of damage. Avenging Wrath is available, though, if Radopi even needs to utilize it. Caught in a Lightning Lasso, shifting power, resetting combustion, although taking big damage. Baka's right on top of the whole team at the moment. Need to be careful. They don't want Tegridy Damp sneaking away to match point there, but Radopi recovers.
Yeah, does manage to do so. Didn't really have to use too many cooldowns as well, but Baka, after, going in and causing so much havoc, he's just going to run away, the reset. Still doesn't have his Gladiator's Medallion. Frosty now in the open, getting blasted. This is the problem. I mean, when Livin and Frosty and Radopi, they want to cross the map, they just have to go through the gauntlet of Affliction, Warlock damage, and crowd control. Frosty now using that Door of Shadows, then immediately Hammer of Justice into a Lightning Lasso, and look at Fnaubers and Walrix. Goodbye. They know Frosty's going to be the one that really sets up those kills, so anytime he pushes in, he gets caught into a stun, and they're able to reposition. That's one thing I really like that Tegridy Damp is doing. Livin getting blasted, caught into an ice block. Big damage from that Elemental Shaman now coming out. Who are they going after? Combustion gets ripped out. Baka, sacrifice trades onto him. Now Fnavar's going to be rotting down a little bit, but in a prime position to keep himself alive. And I like the fact I don't want a repeat of what we saw on game number 1. Just trades out the sacrifice on the Combustion, and now it's going to be Livin on the back foot once again.
Ooh, very scary situation here for Livin. No ice block for him, and also Radopai though finally has his wings active here, and those are going to be timing out now. So Living not going to be in the most comfortable situation. Prophecy also rotting down a little bit, but he was trying to help sustain that push with that Vampiric Embrace. So more and more defense being forced here from the Blast Wave boys. They did get that trinket sacrifice, but he traded out for the Combustion, and it's really hard to get those fireballs out, you know, against a Warlock Elemental Shaman. A lot of lockdown in that composition, so Livin is not going to have a very easy time resetting that CD. They've had some good pushes onto Fnobers, but with him playing that Pro Legendary, it's going to be very hard to actually take him down. And I think at this point, Radopai are actually doing the right thing here, sitting down to drink, making the enemy come to them, and now they're trying to get a CC chain. Nice spell up from Warwick's going to shut down the Polymorph. Livin dropping a Ring of Frost there around Radopai. Radopai basically recovering his whole mana bar at this point, but still, that was the Ira Mastery push there as well from Tegridy Damp, but now they're all on top of Prophecy, and they realize, hey, this guy is going to crowd control all of us. Warwick immediately pulls the trigger on that Howl of Terror, allowing his team to get a little bit of time here to retreat. And now, once again, Warwick's just going to drain life, get a little bit of HP here. Fnobber's now going to get caught up in a chain here, potentially. Looks like they are on opposite ends here, opposite sides of the comms. They're not really communicating well. Getting that Meteor, Living, thinking that they're going to go after the healer, but they actually wanted to set up there onto Warwick. So that setup is going to be completely botched there from the Blastwave bros. And, this game is slowly but surely spiraling in favor of Tegridy Damp. Living now taking a lot of damage. Radopai has to use the sacrifice here and the Avenging Wrath, and it's just more and more cooldowns being forced from the Blastwave bros.
I really like these thunderstorms off the boxes from Baka, disrupting the team. If they net one of those during a time where they're more vulnerable, no Avenging Wrath up, it could land a kill. Walrus replacing that Demonic Gateway for his team as we see Frosty rolling up with that Void Form. Livin is trying to get there, but he's corruption slowed at the moment, left behind. Frosty gets blasted by Lightning Lasso, looking to bait a Dispersion, not finding the bait. Baka going for defensive hexes. Livin line of sight set. Stun on Fnabbers. Who's going to be the target? Howl of Terror intercepts. Walrus totally shutting down the Hammer of Justice attempt here. Nice fear by him. Tegridy Damp setting themselves up in a good position. However, now Fnabbers in a Polymorph. Walrix the target. Trinket Nether Ward on that incoming Combustion burst. Line of sighting here, waiting for Fnabbers to get out of Polymorph. They swap back to Baka. Baka line of sighting out the boxes. Drain life from Walrix to heal himself through the pressure. Reloading those dots. Stormkeeper, Sky Fury, Avenging Wrath, Dark Soul available. Tegridy Damp need to get some work done on this push. How much work can they get done? They get intercepted by a Psychic Scream, but Stormkeeper is still loaded up. Baka is laying in onto Livin. Radopai recovers with Avenging Wrath. Battlemaster, big heals incoming. Livin now trying to reset that Combustion with shifting power as soon as possible to turn the tide of this battle. Walrix is patiently holding Dark Soul, waiting for Avenging Wrath to subside, and then Walrix is going to just do a ton of damage. He's got a total of 3 Unstable Afflictions out here. He's casting Malefic Raptures. He could really tear in right now. Frosty pre-Vampiric Embraces, anticipating damage. Hex on Radopai needs to be dispelled. Maybe they caught him on a cooldown on Decurse, but Hex does inevitably end. Mana is surprisingly even between the teams. I would have expected Tegridy Damp to have a slight advantage at this point, but they do not. So Blastwave Bros do at least have that going for them.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, mana isn't terrible for them. Fnabbers, I'd say, has the positional advantage. Livin getting destroyed once again, getting really low. And Radopai doesn't even trade. Livin playing a little bit greedy there, but doesn't have to use the Cauterize, doesn't have to use the Ice Block, and should be fine. All 3 of them just snared right now. Baka knocking them out into the open, getting a Lightning Lasso and using the Tomb, or using the box to line of sight. Walrus now just loading everybody up with Unstable Afflictions. This is a good situation for the side of Tegridy Damp. Blastwave Bros, though, they have a lot of damage available. They have the Combustion. Meteor drops down. Here it is. Baka, how is he going to survive? Looks like pretty easily, quite honestly, and that go was a little bit botched there from the side of Blastwave Bros. Tegridy Damp didn't really have to use anything in order to survive, and now I feel like with Combustion down, they're going to be feeling confident to play aggressive in the match. At the same time, Walrus getting blasted. Vaca slowing that go down with the lightning lasso. Nicely done. Fnobbers using his avenging wrath, topping everyone off. In the meantime, Ratipai forced to trade out so many of his defensive cooldowns. It's an avenging wrath proc, able to stabilize his team. That was a sacrifice as well, but definitely not the position you want to be in. Ratipai's in a lot of trouble.
Yeah, and Baka, they're activating his Stormkeeper, trying to close out the match. But Snobbers, he has a lot of healing to do here. Warwick's very low, double Dragon's Breath coming through. Can he land the sheep? He blinks for it, he gets it. Livin forcing out something here onto Snobbers there. Gonna get that trinket, beautifully done. Baka also using his trinket in that exchange, and Living, he's gonna take those 2 cooldowns and run back to the pillar here. No, he has his Ice Block and his Kara is now finally back up as well. Ratipai's mana bar though, not looking too good, and honestly at this point, if you're the Blastwave Bros, don't do this. Don't go in with the Door of Shadows, don't push in, just sit down for a drink. You're gonna force the enemy team to come to you instead of pushing in. But actually they do land a very clean setup here, so maybe it actually was the right move here to get the bubble from Knobbers. And now in my opinion they should just sit back, try to bait with drinks, try to bait the enemy team to come to them. And now Living here taking a lot of damage. Ratipai as well, caught up in the lightning lasso, big damage coming out onto him. He's gonna use that divine protection as well as his trinket to try to mitigate a lot of that. And now still Living, dropping dangerously low here. Conras could trigger any second, and it does, but Ratipai does pick him back up. And now Baka in a lot of trouble here. Nice dispel though coming out from Knobbers. That's going to be the combustion of Living here, and Warwick is just sitting in everybody's face here, feeling very comfortable, just dipping out the damage, doing what he can on that Affliction Warlock. Prophecy forced into the dispersion. Ratipai with a big divine favor heal, doesn't actually get it off. Living might need to Ice Block, and he's going to use it right there. Venruki, that's it. Super sorry.
Oh, Hammer of Justice, Divine Shield. Everyone is rotting down. Frosty's trying to turn it around with Psychic Scream. They need to kill Fnobbers here and now. They need to pull off the one-shot wonder. Will they do it? They do. What? Just, they were on their heels there. 0 mana, no defense left. They just banked everything on that kill, found an opening and took it. Blastwave Bros go to match point. Although they're still playing it out, sacrifice is up and their Paladin's out of mana. Back on a Polymorph though, not able to really do too much there. Walrus is slowly waddling in as Warlocks do, but I don't think he's gonna. Yeah, it's kind of over there.
I can't believe it. I mean, when we can look at the replay and we can see exactly how that all played out. I mean, Blastwave Bros once again, they're on the back foot. Things are not looking good. It's looking like they are going to lose the game. They just pull out a one-shot out of nowhere, find an opportunity onto Fnobbers, and are able to just drop them. And that has to be a really frustrating game on the side of Tegridy Damp, because I feel like they played that one out really well. But if you just look at this moment, Fnobbers, no trinket, no divine shields, combustion, actually not available. So there wasn't even a combustion go that was able to drop Fnobbers in that situation. But we'll see at 40% dampening. You can start seeing Tegridy Damp and all their rot pressure really setting in. Ratipai, really not too many defensive cooldowns left. Livin, no cauterize. Ice Block's been used, but with just one Hammer of Justice on Fnobbers, Livin with a Meteor. I feel like Frosty really carried the damage there, and it was a nice aura mastery from Ratipai too that allowed him to get off those big casts, the Mind Blast, Mind Games, to close out the game. And what a close one that one was.
Yeah, I mean, they Blastwave Bros had like seconds left, I feel like, to turn that around. Otherwise, they would have just lost there, Ben.
Yeah, I mean, there really is no question about it. It was not looking good. I feel like if that was kind of like a Hail Mary. If that didn't work, then it was going to be big trouble. But I mentioned it at the beginning of the series. This is just one of those matchups where Blastwave Bros just looks like they're losing until they don't. Like, it just looks like, okay, they're getting controlled. Okay, they're getting stopped. Okay, mana's not looking good. Oh, they got stopped again. Oh, they have to run. And then they one-shot someone. And that's just how the matchup is. It's you go for the one-shot, you get denied on it, and then things are looking good for Tegridy Damp. But when you one-shot, you win the game. So that's where we've seen the 2 wins for Blastwave Bros.
Yeah, the damage output from these guys is insane, as we've seen here with Blastwave Bros. Now they're up 2-1. They're on match point here in this series. Tegridy Damp certainly feeling the pressure now. They're going to have to basically win the next 3 games in a row if they want to win this series against Blastwave Bros. It's going to be their map choice here. Super curious to see what they decide to do next. They haven't really been able to find their footing too well against Blastwave Bros, as we just saw them pretty much turn that game around in the very last second for Blastwave Bros. Zico.
Yeah, and I think it goes without saying now, we're going somewhere big. we're going to
Yeah.
Imperial Domain or maybe Tolvir. Have we played Ashamans yet? I don't think so.
Don't
I think we,
so.
yeah,
No.
there it is. All right. Yeah, and
Okay.
we're probably going to see the same matchup here from both teams, unless they want to experiment and bring in Jamie. But I really feel like they could still win with that Fire Mage. Maybe they go Ellie Fire Mage and just go for the Hail Mary one shot at some point. That could potentially work, but I do feel like giving up Mind Games is just so good in this matchup that I just want to see the same two matchups here. And this game, I would heavily favor Tegridy Damp, and then in the potential next game, that's when we're probably going to see something very small, like a hook point or something like that.
You know what I'm surprised is that we haven't seen Empyrean Domain at all today. Like, we've seen Ashram. Like, it's like kind of a flip from what we saw in Cup number 1. Like, when they wanted to go to a map like Ashmanes or Empyrean Domain, they were always picking Empyrean Domain, and we hardly ever saw Ashmanes. Now we're seeing a bunch of Ashmanes. Not really all that significant. Just thought I'd point it out. Kind of interesting, as it is that new map for Shadowlands. But we're going to see Blastwave's composition here with Shadow Priest and Fire Mage once again. Tegridy Damp now to choose their composition. Definitely curious to see what exactly they choose here. We're going to see Baka on that Ellie Shaman, Wally on the Warlock Super Tees. How do we like this?
I mean, it's really their only option. They could Shadow Priest Warlock, but with Zot, if they really wanted to try to go super mega damp. But the Ellie Warlock can work. It's just that was literally all the pieces came together at the exact moment that they needed to, and they were able to kill Fnobbers. Like, the perfect storm situation after that hectic of a game when you're completely out of mana. Is that repeatable? You kind of hope it isn't, but I mean, it's possible. Tegridy Damp are basically just banking on that situation not being replicatable, and then just winning games on brute force.
Yeah, it's got to be a little scary too, you know, considering just how quickly Fnobbers got melted in that last game, especially like you guys have already touched on so much, how that game was just looking like it was to be in their favor, and just at the very last second they couldn't quite make it work. But we are going to be going into this game here on Ash Remains Fall. Blastwave Bros on match point versus Tegridy Damp.
Yeah, I mean, this is going to be an interesting one. Once again, it's just the nature of this matchup is Blastwave Bros. It looks like they're getting shut down on everything they do until one slips in. And, you know, Tegridy Damp, they have to be very careful, because I feel like there's been a few times where it just seems like, okay, we're so close to winning. Everything is going in our favor. Oh, no, we lost. Like, they just really have to play perfect defense the entire game. And if they can do that, I think they will end up winning this series, or at least can come back. But I mean, Blastwave Bros, they've proven that despite the fact that they get caught behind and, you know, they're getting shut down, they're still finding these moments of opportunities, and they're just going after Walrus right away. They get his trinket, that's combustion. That's the exact thing you want to see from Blastwave Bros. I really feel like all three members of Tegridy Damp are a great target. You just go after who's the most overextended. Whoever you can land a full combustion on, that's who you want to be hitting. And I just like the fact that they are mixing it up and keeping Tegridy Damp guessing.
Oh, that was a nice thunderstorm there by Baka. Forcing out the dispersion because he interrupted that divine favor of the Ratapies. And of course, now they traded somewhat evenly here. They got Warwick's trinket there, and now they got Frosty's dispersion. Those two are going to be about the same cooldown. Dispersion is a little bit lower, and we're going to see Frosty now looking to potentially push in here. Door of Shadows getting interrupted here, and they're standing in that consecration. They know they're going to just get rotted down and slowed, and there it is, human racial coming out. Frosty now looking to push in here onto Baka. Baka immediately retreating here from that situation, going back to the pillar here. And I mean, this is kind of what we were talking about earlier. It's just so hard for them to actually get to their targets on this big maps. That's why I feel like this match is definitely going to be heavily favored for Tegridy Damp, but we've seen it before. You know, Blastwave Bros can definitely blast their way to victory with just a big one shot onto somebody, and that's what they're going to be looking to do. Right now, Warwick's looking like the prime target. They got combustion. There's the freedom. They're looking to push in here. Livin making his way there as well, potentially looking for a blinking Dragon's Breath to get the counterspell, and there we go. Big setup here potentially. Let's see. Warwick's just being as slippery as ever. Now Livin trying to kind of cut down the escape path here in the midfield. Gets a sheep, gets a Ring of Frost, gets dispelled, and now he's going to swap the ship to the healer. He gets it. Combustion could get ripped out here, but Baka and Warwick's just too good of a position here. They're going to do it onto Fnobers instead. Big damage coming in here with that Combustion, and Baka immediately responding with the Lightning Lasso, with the grounding. No, he doesn't have grounding totem for the situation, and with Fnobers, with that Divine Protection and with that Lightning Lasso, he's going to be able to survive. Baka with excellent defense there.
Blastwave Bros are really mixing it up, going after multiple targets, not sticking to any particular strategy. That could be a huge advantage to them to just catch Tegridy Damp off guard. And I like that creativity on the large map. They're going to have to field out multiple targets and try and find one that's overextended. At the moment, Bacchus is 1v3, and he's kind of getting the upper hand here, right? By struggling to heal through his damage. Walrix moves in on the opposite side to box them around the corner here. Frosty's marching forward as if they want to make a push, going for a Void Eruption. Although not able to really connect too much damage. I mean, what's he going to get done with this Void Eruption? It's going to be up for a little bit. He can line up that Void Bolt, buff it up with the Hungering Void, but he's really getting no value out of this if they don't make any sort of push off the back of it. Another Void Eruption is down. It's less of a threat. Maybe it's a bait. I mean, Void Eruption's not that scary, and Combustion's now off cooldown, so the Tegridy Amp go, oh, he just wasted Void Eruption, let's do something, and then Livin kills him with Combustion. Otherwise, it was just a waste. Ratapie gets interrupted. Big pressure on Livin. Immediately recovered, though, there now by the team. Blastwave Bros, mana not great, and that's also as a result of this map. Look how far away Walrix and Baka are, just ... run, and that's like goose ... goose. I don't even remember. I can't remember.
Isn't it duck? I think it's duck.
No, now it's ... goose.
All right. ... run, definitely the Affliction Warlock playstyle right now. Living right now, just going to be popping out the Combust, almost one-shotting Baka. And I mean, go for it, I guess. If you can't get to the main target, just Combust on whatever you want and see what you get. But unfortunately, they weren't able to net too much. I'd like to see at least a little bit of crowd control on Fnobbers. I don't mind those plays, but if Frosty can move in and just like disarm silence Fnobbers, and then they go for a one-shot with like a Hammer of Justice on Baka, I feel like that would be a lot more reasonable. But just combusting with no crowd control, not sure how big a fan I am of that one. Looks like Livin will push in into a Hex, into a full Hammer of Justice. Frosty just sitting back and casting out Mind Flays. Getting one shot, big damage from Baka. Have to be very careful of all those lava bursts. Looks like Baka will retreat as he's kind of realized now that he has been the main target. Nicely done there by Walrix. Beautiful soul shape into triple Howl of Terror, but I mean, it looked a lot prettier than it actually ended up being, although Fnobbers did get protected a little bit. It looks like he will potentially be able to hold on. The silence comes in, but the Battle Masters and the Dispel is more than enough for Fnobbers to survive. Really good backup there by Walrick and Baka in that situation.
Yeah, every time they try to CC Fnobbers and go after one of the DPS runs away, and then they try to make a swap to Fnobbers, and that's where Baka is coming clutch with the Lightning Lassos this time around. Warwick's with that soul-shaped triple howl. He's going to shut that down before it even gets started. And it plays like that. That's what's going to keep Fnobbers alive. Now they get the dispersion here with Baka's damage there with that Sky Fury Totem. Beautiful exchange here so far for Tegridy Damp. And now they're actually getting a little bit aggressive here onto Frosty, Fear onto Baka. And Livin has his combustion here. Did he dispel the Fear there? I'm not sure. They get the Trinket. I'm pretty sure he did. They get the Silence, and that's the combustion right there as well. And that's exactly what you want to see. Just force out the Dispel, go for the Hammer of Justice, and then you're going to force the enemy healer to be in your line of sight without being just able to dispel the stun. And that's when you can find the Silence. That's when you can find that combustion that will force something big. This time around, they get Baka's Trinket, they get Fnobbers Trinket, and that's going to be an excellent exchange for them. Now, Blastwave Bros looking pretty good. Frosty still, though, kind of an exposed target here for the Blastwave Bros as well. And he's going to need to wait a little bit for his dispersion as both teams look to stabilize here.
Dampening kicking in now at 8%. Mana reasonably even between the teams, and Blastwave Bros are going to continue to fish for these one-shot attempts during Combustion and Mind Games, which is looking like Frosty's got a lot of damage available moving forward. Baka getting intercepted by that Door of Shadows. Frosty jumping on top of his opponents, looking for crowd control, but gets intercepted. Ratapie's following up to try and help support, but tanks of Vampiric Touch Howl of Terror. Livin Soul Shapes in. They do want to get aggressive, go after Fnobbers with no Trinket likely. Dragon's Breath here. Are they going to go for the Hammer? They get the Psychic Scream. Who's the target? Hammers of Justice are down. Fnobbers is the target. They need to power through a lot of defense, though. Fnobbers is going to respect it. Trade Divine Shield. That was not Combustion. There is still no medallion, no divine shield. That's a big opportunity for Blastwave Bros on match point. If I'm Tegridy Damp in this position, I'm not too comfortable.
Yeah, certainly not. I kind of want to see Walrick save his Mortal Coils for that situation, where they do go for those setups, just double Mortal Coil. As we already know, both Livin and Frosty are not using a Gladiator's Medallion. So if they get caught into that crowd control, there's really not too much they're going to be able to do, and that might be more than enough for Fnaubers to stay alive. So certainly something to look out for. Livin getting interrupted with a Wind Shear, now into a Fear, now into a Hex. Lots of crowd control available, and once again, it looks like Fnaubers is going to gate away. But they get him locked down. The Polymorph does come in. I think this is just a stall Polymorph, but Frosty and Ratify, they just can't get there. The snares from Walrick really paying dividends, and Livin's actually going to get gripped out. So he got the Polymorph on Fnaubers, but unfortunately Ratify and Frosty, they just ran out of mobility. They weren't able to reconnect to their target, so that was a great preemptive gateway there by Fnaubers, and just constantly crossing the map is exactly what you want to do. Have Fnaubers in this situation. 20% dampening, Livin getting blasted behind the pillar. Ratify throws in a huge Holy Light, immediately topping him off. At 20% dampening, mana still not looking good, but you can never count Blastwave Bros out. Seen multiple games where they just get an absolute one-shot, even when things look like they're completely not going their way. Just have to see if they can find it in this one.
Yeah, and right now, I would say Fnaubers for sure is the best target here for Blastwave Bros, and they know it. They want to sheep him, they want to set something up, but Fnaubers is making it very difficult with how he's positioned, so they're going to pull the trigger onto Warwick. Now they're going to pull the trigger here onto Baka as well, and I like what they're doing here. They get Frosty to use his Silence Disarm on Warwick. If that gets dispelled, they Harge Baka, and they go after him as well. They're just mixing up their strategy a lot more here on the side of Blastwave Bros. You can see Fnaubers now here, just chilling in the back line. No real threat onto him right now. Baka getting aggressive here onto Livin. Livin caught up in that Lightning Lasso. Still has his Ice Block, still has everything that he needs. And there it is. Frosty actually the defensive Door of Shadows here. Going to just be recovering here for a second. They have the wings, and they're just stacking up here for the Consecration from Ratify, so they can all get dispelled and potentially look to make that next push. Ratify is going to sit down for the drink here, and I think this is very intelligent. This is what we were talking about a little bit on Dalaran. If the enemy team is turtling too hard, well, just sit down and drink. You're the one who's on a timer, and we saw kind of Chaz do that as well against one of these comps that really wants to go late. Just sit back, drink, and then keep setting up these kills, and eventually you can find those win conditions. And now once again though, Fnaubers is going to be having his bubble rotating back up in about 40 seconds, so that kill opportunity on Fnaubers basically gone at this point. At best, they're going to force his trinket, and then he's going to have bubble again. So very well deflected situation from Tegridy Damp, and Livin looking to get aggressive here onto Baka, and there we go. He's caught up behind the pillar alone. There's combustion, big damage coming through, but no crowd control there onto Fnaubers. Gonna allow him to just dispel that and be completely fine. But the leftovers here onto Warwick, and that's exactly what we were talking about earlier. If you can get that pressure with that Psychic Horror on one target, you can go for a Hammer of Justice. This time around, Ratify wasn't able to find it, but still good damage there from that combustion. And as the game gets later and later in dampening, that combustion one-shot is just going to be more and more real. This time around, they get Baka's Trinket here as well in that exchange, so it's not looking too bad for Blastwave Bros, considering the map choice.
All right, let's see what they can get done here. Mana still slightly in favor of Tegridy Damp. Walrick's the target at the moment, down to have Baka getting swapped to. Double Psychic Scream, big pressure. Baka gonna respect it, trading Astral Shift here, lining up an Echoing Shock, Lava Burst, big damage to Frosty. Frosty fades. They overlap with Sacrifice. Livin is rotted down in a Howl of Terror. Ratify is rotting down. He has to Divine Shield. The entire team being decimated at this point. Tegridy Damp look to move to game 5. They swap, a Miracle Swap to Fnaubers. He gets stunned up at low health. Divine Protection, dispelling off Mind Games into a Silence, popping that Battlemaster Hellstone, saving it right for that moment, surviving a swap there. His whole team, though, is getting destroyed. He's trying to recover these slow Holy Lights around the pillar and recover at almost 40% dampening here. Dark Soul available. Walrick needs to get high value out of this Dark Soul. He basically needs to win the game with it. He's going to pop it when they're out in midfield. They are getting decimated by Walrick right now. This is going to be a huge pressure. Frosty has to disperse. This could be Ice Block. Livin has to retreat, blinking back to the pillar. Walrick's moving in, getting a triple Phantom Singularity. Dots on the whole team. Baka jumps on top of him. Stormkeeper available. Livin getting popped. Snobbers pulls away to try and drink. Baka retreats with Demonic Gateway. Livin blinks in, and Blast Wave Bros are going for that once again. Miracle one-shot. They could find a kill on Baka with this combustion. No trinket, no astral shift if Snobbers isn't ready, but they are on the back foot. Livin down at 10%. Frosty jumps into Void Form. They got to do something. They stun up Snobbers. They have to win here. They pop combustion, but Baka's line of sighting it around the pillar here. They have to swap the Snobbers. Livin lobbing out lava or Pyroblast. Snobbers down to 10%. Save for the light procs. Healing himself back up. Now Frosty left out midfield and decimated. Big map pays off big for Tegridy Damp. Game 5.
Game 5, I mean, once again, I mean, this is kind of how you expect it to play out for Tegridy Damp in all of the games so far, but it's been up to Blastwave Bros to find those moments. Unfortunately, in this one, they weren't able to, and Tegridy Damp can tie it up, but this kind of begs the question, where are we going to? Where are we going to for Game 5? Are they going to bring it to a small map where Tegridy Damp really doesn't have that same sort of flexibility to run away? I, for one, want to see Ruins of Lordaeron.
I think Super Tees wants to see it as well. Well, we're gonna see those.
Say it, but
Yeah, we're gonna see the last moments here of the game, and Livin trying to set something up here, and you know, they're basically banking on the fact that they have Avenging Wrath up right now. They need to make something happen because as soon as this cooldown is over, they are going to be rotting down, and they're a big opportunity here onto Baka. But sadly, they don't have that Hammer of Justice there, so now they're going to swap over to Fnobbers here, and Fnobbers is going to be able to deflect that easily, and then Frofsy just kind of gets caught up in the crossfire there, and of course Ratapai's wings also, wing proc actually going to be timing out there, so no real CDs left for Blastwave Bros. They just kind of got, you know, outlasted in that match, and now, like you mentioned, Van, it's going to be about that next map pick. Ruins of Lordaeron, a good contender. I think Hook Point is still available and a good contender here as well. What else do we have? Blade's Edge actually could be pretty good as well. They have one knock, but you have Mind Control as well, though. So I don't know. Blade's Edge could be kind of funky, but also a very small map.
I think I want to just see Ruins of Lordaeron. That's what I want. I want Ruins of Lordaeron. I want them to just run at Fnobbers the entire game and make it really difficult for him to actually run away.
What about you, Soup Teas? You want Ruins of Lordaeron?
I don't want to sound biased, you know. I can't.
Well, Hook Point.
I'm sad.
Okay.
Why?
I'm happy with this.
I'm happy.
Why are you sad, Sid? Talk to us.
He's
Let's
not
work
going to
through
get to
it.
say it today.
Yeah.
Well, there's one more
Yeah.
series. There's
One more series.
That's true.
Never know. You could just say it and we'll pretend that it's, you know, I don't know, you could say Hook Point. I don't know.
Hook
There's a
Point.
pun in there somewhere.
Fitting
I'm not,
final
I'm
resting
not close.
point.
No, it's going to be, someone's going to be shark bait. That was not that good, but kind of good. It was okay.
I think I'm more just laughing at you laughing at your own pun.
I do that all the time.
I was just smiling politely, you know.
We need
Now you
Slew
know
in
what-
here to get some good puns. What, Super Teas?
Ven's like, you can tell what Ven's fake laugh is now. So if he's being sarcastic and he doesn't think something's actually funny, it's going to sound like that.
Like,
Wait, I don't even know.
it's that.
Yeah, it's like
It's that
you're like,
little, yeah.
It was different than.
How do you know that's not my real laugh?
Because it wasn't funny, so it must have been.
It was funny to me. Okay, whatever. It wasn't supposed to be funny.
Guys, we gotta chill, man. We gotta chill on the roasting each other.
I'm
This
upset.
isn't good. Yeah. We gotta be. We're gonna. You know what? We're gonna go back to the drawing table. There's gonna be a break soon after this game, and we'll come up with some good puns here for Hook Point. But this is gonna be the last match for this series. We ended up on a game 5 here. It is Reload Blast Wave Bros versus Tegridy Damp on Hook Point.
Yeah, and this is it, gentlemen. Did you guys expect this series to go to a game 5? Let's start with that.
Kinda.
No?
I did, yeah.
Oh, really?
I was
You guys sounded
convinced it
really
was
sure
gonna be,
that you guys sounded very sure that Tegridy Damp was just gonna win this series very easily, but now they find themselves in a situation where Blastwave Bros have the map advantage here. We're on Hook Point. a fitting final resting point. Prophecy is looking to get that door of shadows in and looking to lay waste here to his enemies. Living going for the Dragon's Breath into the full sheep. Prophecy actually getting that disarm on the Fnobbers. Here we go. Combustion gets ripped out. There is the big damage coming in with the meteor. But Fnobbers just going to brush that off. Nice grounding totem from Baka as well as that divine protection. Going to just trade very evenly here. Warwicks as well getting kind of targeted there with the leftovers from that combustion. And now once again we're going to expect the Blast Wave Bros sit back, stand in that consecration, look to spam out the fireballs, the shifting power, reset their cooldowns, and look to do it again.
All right, let's see if they can get to that point. Walrick is positioned aggressively here, getting multiple Malefic Rapture. That's a big hitting attack for the Affliction Warlock. Ratapai stunned up, Baka on the left, laying in here. That Dark Glare is getting huge value across the board. Ratapai is being greedy, holding on to Avenging Wrath, wanting to trade it for Elemental Shaman cooldowns, not Warlock cooldowns. A bit disrespectful to Walrick, but he does get away with the greed is good. Walrick repositioning now in the backline. Baka retreating, Prophecy's chasing, Ratapai's pursuing. Stun lockdown on Baka. Where's the power play here? No cooldowns really available. Baka's just going to easily walk it off. Fnobber's getting ready as Ratapai's aggressive on his pillar. Walrick's just trying to force them away, spamming out Fears on Livin. Maybe a swap to Ratapai. Multiple Malefic Raptures once again. Shadow Fury out of the Hammer of Justice. Good crowd control combo. Ratapai going to respect it here. Might have been a Word of Glory proc there with Awakening, though. Ratapai, have to wait and see if his Avenging Wrath falls in the next couple of seconds or if he committed his main Avenging Wrath to that push. It looks like it is likely the main Avenging Wrath at this point, so they need to get aggressive with this cooldown up. It's a ton of healing. Combustion's available. They could go after Fnobbers. He's really a good target on hook point. It's easy to get on top of the healer. Would like to see that set up on Fnobbers, but they stun Baka, so it's unlikely. Meteor comes in. They're just popping Combustion, just trying to power him down. Baka, desperate to line of sight, pumping out healing surges, recovers. Ratapai's rotting from Walrick. Walrick is definitely positioning very well on the small map to capitalize on this opposing team being so aggressive. Prophecy going to greater fade this incoming attack. Ratapai stabilizes throughout the stun with Divine Protection. Baka now getting ready here. Stormkeeper coming up in 5. Needs to get a ton of damage with it. Just stunning Livin, maxing out damage, trying to build a mana advantage, trying to just scare Blastwave Bros a little bit, but it is quite difficult pre-dampening in this matchup.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, on the smaller map too, there's not nearly as much line of sight for Ratapai, Livin, and Prophecy, so if things spiral out of control at those moments where Ratapai doesn't have his Avenging Wrath, it might be really difficult for him to recover. So although it's allowing them to get these setups onto Fnobbers, and let's see if they actually can take him down. Looks like Baka's there with good backup. Grounding Totem drops down, as well as the Lightning Lasso that will be denied. And it looks like Fnobbers will be completely fine, really not having to trade too much. In the meantime, Prophecy getting blasted, and this is what I'm talking about. If they're in the open for too long, there's no Avenging Wrath, all of a sudden Tegridy Damp can find a lot of momentum in this match. I don't think this one's going to be going to 30-40% dampening. Well, it could, but I feel like it's unlikely with the way both these teams are playing, kind of throwing caution to the wind and really just trying to get on target.
Both teams here realizing that, hey, this is an elimination match. This is game 5. Whoever loses is out. Both teams playing to win. Full fear on Baka. Here comes the setup. Fnobbers in a sheep. You definitely want to, Warwick's in a sheep. You definitely want to see that onto Fnobbers, and not too much pressure going to be happening here. Now Living has his combustion, immediately presses it. As soon as he gets it off cooldown, you're going to force the Astral Shift as well as the Trinket, and Fnobbers overlapping his Trinket and that sacrifice as well. You can tell these players, they've been playing a long series here. Nerves are kicking in, and the overlaps are starting to happen here. Anyone could fall. Right now, it's going to be Tegridy Damp here and trying to get some pressure back here after that exchange. Livin now caught up in that Lightning Lasso. Big damage coming in here with that Meteor from the Fire Elemental of Baka. And now Warwick's on one side spamming out the US, Baka on the other side spamming out the Lava Burst, and he gets a proc there as well. Big damage coming out, but Ratapai is going to brush that off with his Avenging Wrath easily. Now Ratapai has his stun, and he's going to look to potentially use it on somebody. Prophecy now in a Hammer of Justice. Potential dispersion here, maybe getting forced. No, they're going to continue to chain with that Cap Totem, but Ratapai is going to be able to survive that as well. And now they realize on the side of Tegridy Damp, hey, this could be very dangerous. Here's the Hammer of Justice. There's the disarm. Big damage on the back of numbers with the bubble here. No sacrifice, but he has the wings, and he is going to use that immediately here in the bubble to try to keep Baka alive. Both teams here definitely just trying to get ahead, trying to get anything that can put them as the winner of this match. And right now, I would say Blastwave Bros are looking as the team that is in the lead. 1% dampening, gentlemen.
Yeah, they could kill anyone's here. No medallions. They just need to move in. Just use Divine Shield, Combustion, get aggressive, KO a target, close the series, but Livin gets blasted back here. Big damage incoming from Tegridy Damp. They intercept them perfectly. Wincher on Livin at low health. He's trying to run around the corner here with Ratapai. Will he be able to recover? They also want to get aggressive. They can't afford to be defensive here. Their opening is slipping away. They trade Sacrifice. They're getting on top of Fnobbers. No trinket for 10 more seconds. There's the hammers down. Combustion available. Meteor gonna connect. This could absolutely be it if they are not careful. Baka trying to support Fnobbers as much as possible throughout this crowd control chain, buying just enough time. Fnobbers recovers. Now Frofsy Livin on the back foot. Walrick has Dark Soul available. Let's see if he's able to turn the tides of battle here. Slight mana advantage to his team. Full Hex on Livin, not able to support whatsoever. Livin's just running at Fnobbers, just pushing him away from the fight. Double Psychic Scream set up here from Frofsy. Nice. Vampiric Embrace to stabilize. Ratapai stunned up with no trinket, popping that Divine Protection, anticipating himself as the target, but he's actually not here. Into a full fear. No block on Livin. And Ratapai decides to Divine Shield to not fall too far behind. They're counter-pressuring Walrix quite heavily. Needs to be careful. It's match point. He can't afford to throw. Down at half health with his healer in a full polymorph, but the enemy team gets knocked away. Walrick will recover. Lightning Lasso on Frosty. Walrick's trying to help out with some damage as well, but not really finding too much of a dent. No crowd control on Ratapai. He should be able to pick Frosty up here. Hex on Livin. Line of sighted. Shifting power to reset Combustion. Important timing for Livin with it only about 30 seconds away here. Livin needs a couple of fireballs to reset it further, and that's going to be a big threat. Who are they going to go after with it at this point? I feel like maybe Warlock. It's a target that they haven't really tried. He might not be ready. Livin down at low health, interrupted. Ratapai popping Avenging Wrath to try and power through this. Tegridy Damp are doing everything in their power to overwhelm Ratapai and run him out of mana here on match point, but can they do it before Blast Wave Bros completely collapse them?
Yeah, we'll have to see. Frosty gets knocked into the open. This could be the dispersion if he's not careful. Walrick's in a very defensive position right now, just spamming out the UAs once again. Frosty needs to get out of line of sight, but Baka is just absolutely blasting him. Ratapai's mana not doing too great in this situation, and I think it's going to be really difficult for him to ever sneak away for a drink. Damping getting higher and higher. Ratapai getting blasted once again. He's caught in kind of a weird position. Very separated from his team, going for a Holy Light. Manages to find one. There's no interrupt available. Livin reconnecting now with Ratapai. Fnobber's position very far away. Frosty getting blasted. And I don't like the fact that Blastwave Bros are so split up in the match. They need to kind of work together as a unit. Otherwise, Tegridy Damp is just going to beat them in this situation. Ratapai moving in. Livin looking for a potential Ring of Frost. Can he find it? Unfortunately, missing it on Fnobbers. Super unfortunate there. Hammer Justice on Baka gets immediately dispelled. This is the Combustion. And that was kind of that was an unfortunate setup there. I mean, Livin, he missed the Ring of Frost, and then the Hammer of Justice got dispelled, and they still used the Combustion. I feel like that was a huge waste from the side of Blastwave Bros.
Yeah, that could have been a very important setup there. Fnobbers gonna have his bubble coming up in 5 seconds, so he didn't really have that there, and that could have been a winning, commanding position for them. But now he's gonna have that moving forward. Living now dropping very low there. Ratapai picking him back up though. No Avenging Wrath. That was a Divine Favor, so Ratapai's healing right now very limited, and I couldn't agree with you more there, Ben. They were playing very split up there for a second, and now they're finally grouped up again. They need to be doing these coordinated pushes. Prophecy right now trying to lead the charge, but he doesn't have his Door of Shadows, so he's just going to go for raw damage here, but it's looking like he's being overwhelmed right now, caught up in the Hammer of Justice. No dispel for Ratapai. He finally gets wings right now, and now here we go. Big setup onto Warriors. Warriors going to be teleporting back. Ratapai's mana not looking good at all here, and this game is going to be over very, very soon here. Fnobbers now caught up in a stun chain. Do they have a DR Hodge? Doesn't look like it. Ratapai not going to have it available right now. Fnobbers going to be using his wings, and he's going to be able to sustain himself as well as his teammates. Now, once again, Livin as well as everybody on his team here on the Blastwave Bros going to have to retreat here. But once again, Prophecy a little bit separated from the team back, loading up the Stormkeeper. This could be big damage here. One zap comes through, two zaps come through. There's the triple fear. Sheep onto Warwick. Here we go. This is a clean setup here onto Fnobbers, but he does get that dispel right before, and that's actually does trinket to get that dispel. So excellent trade from him. And now Ratapai caught up in the crossfire here. Gonna use that Divine Protection, gets gripped behind the pillar by Prophecy. Both teams playing so excellently. At 28% dampening, could be anybody's game, but I would say Tegridy Damp right now are the team in the lead, and anybody losing here means that they are going to be knocked out. This could be anything, and the next couple of minutes here deciding who wins.
All right, let's see if they can overwhelm them. They're in a commanding position at this point with lots of options to deal with the onslaught of Blastwave Bros. Livin getting knocked out into midfield. Walrick repositioning. Lava Burst lobbed in on Frofsy. Lightning Lasso for follow-up. Disrupted. There comes the combustion. Walrick Nether Wards and gates out of the meteor. His reaction time has been instantaneous in this game number 5, escaping every meteor time and time again. Now they're retreating. Baka's pushing in. Fnobbers is charging forward as well, looking to stop Ratapai from drinking here. The map is backfiring. Ratapai can't drink on this close-quartered combat. Frofsy Livin rotting down during the Hammer of Justice. Ratapai wrapping around the corner. Walrick's actually the one falling a bit behind. Drain lifing himself back into the fight here, trying to recover. Stormkeeper, Sky Fury, nice Earthquake onto Ratapai, sniping his drink around the corner, but he's sitting down again. He's consistently getting these tiny ticks of mana regeneration. He's managed to get at least scrounged together 20%. Now caught in a Shadow Fury. Stormkeeper out. Big damage on Livin. Are they ready? Divine Favor doesn't stabilize. Frofsy's casting Shadow Mans, but Lightning Lasso is a big threat. They drop the Sky Fury totem. Walrix is going for Dark Soul. Big dots across the board here. Unstable Afflictions for everyone. Counterspell on him to try and push him back. We see Ratapai repositioning back to the pillar, trying to do basically God's work here with what's left of his mana bar, facing almost 40% dampening.
Yeah, almost 40% dampening. I was definitely wrong about that one, but Frosty with no dispersion, going to be vulnerable. No fade, no dispersion. Frosty is a great target for Tegridy Damp to go after. He has to be very careful, and he's caught into the open right now. Doesn't look like they're going for it. He actually gets a reflected Mind Games. Really nice Netherward there by Walrick. Really punishing Frosty, and Ratapai is struggling at this point of the game. Divine Favor comes in with his Avenging Wrath. Massive damage coming in from Baka, looking to close this one out. This is an elimination series. The loser of this will be knocked out, and we are getting close to the end. 40% dampening. Ratapai, no tools left. Let's see what he can do. I mean, with no mana, it's going to be so difficult for him to keep his team alive. Where are the openings? I mean, Walrick right now, he has no trinket, but he does have his ending resolve. They're going after Baka just a little bit. That was a combustion. Immediately gets purged off there by Baka. Now Baka with the Stormkeeper is going to be pushing in to close it out. Where is the damage? A little bit of pressure here on the Livin, but he still has his Ice Walk. He still has his Cauterize. And Blastwave Bros, although they don't really have too many defensive options left, they're really doing a good job avoiding damage at this point in the game.
Yeah, and Fnobber's mana is not looking too hot either. Ratapai trying to sit down for a sip, but not going to be able to find it just yet. Ratapai now with Divine Favor here. Big heal onto Livin. They're going to go after Baka here potentially. You get a Dragon's Breath into a Sheep. They're going to try to Sheep the Dispel here. He's just baiting Fnobbers to do it. There's the Mind Games now coming out. Ratapai closing out the gap here in midfield, trying to shut down Fnobbers from drinking. And this is a very, very nice exchange for Tegridy Damp. They're not going to have to use any defensives, and Fnobbers actually got 1 or 2 ticks there. And now Frofsy as well, taking so much damage. There's the silence. There is the Psychic Horror. Hex being channeled out onto Livin. He's going to tank that, but it's going to break immediately to the damage there. Shifting power coming out from Livin as well. Ratapai now getting stunned up with the Lightning Lasso, trading out his human ratio, or his trinket right there. Back a little to close out the match, and he gets a big, fat Earth Shock to send him home. Tegridy Damp going to be winning on the smallest map in the pool, 3-2 here in game number 5.
All right, Tegridy Damp moving forward in this tournament. What a crazy last game for this team. Blastwave Bros unfortunately knocked out of the tournament, and you're absolutely right, Zico. Them winning on the smallest map pool in the tournament, or in the AWC, like you said, is I feel like definitely sets them up really nicely for the rest of these cups. Also, now we can really see the full extent of what this team can do.